like if you've seen that movie, Don't Look Up, with Leonardo DiCaprio, their vision of what the future is going to look like is that we're just going to keep talking about nonsense until the moment the blast hits us. And I think that's only looking at like a very small percentage of the population. So I do have a, you know, what you would call a spiritual side. And in the most technical sense, spirituality is just what connects all things. It's the connective tissue of it all. For me, I look at myself like less as a documentarian that's trying to prove something and more inspire, because I think humans are just more hardwired for narrative than we are for fact. And there's many ways that I can dive into that. But the bottom line is I'm all about art. I think that what we really need more of are the people like yourself. And I've heard that term cult leader get thrown onto so many people. It's a phenomena that I feel like the top is a cult for sure, but they don't call themselves a cult. They have a different name for themselves. It's like the mid-level, the mid-economic level that are, you know, coming up in the world. Those are the cult leaders. Why? Because you have to like keep some kind of narrative cap on what they can be and what they're allowed to be. So the rest of the plebs out there, you know, only see you as that one thing. Because most of us are just hardwired for whatever narrative comes at us first. And we don't look for, you know, alternative views. So I would say, like, for me, my thought process behind making all these films, and in my news show, I am constantly talking about Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. But I would say the way that I'm going about it, and I love you and JP and the way that people can wrap humor around it. For me, I do that. I also wrap around it as much art and inspiration as we can, without just without coming from like a who's Klaus Schwab, like the most evil man in the world. We need to, we need to make him the center of our attention. When I kind of feel like we disempower ourselves if we feel like we don't have the potential to face whatever is coming, whatever post 2020 world is coming, data aggregation, technocratic overthrow, whatever words we want to put on it. And I follow your Instagram a lot, and just all the things, all the breadcrumbs that you're putting out there. What I love about it is it's not this buggy-eyed, the sky is falling type of thing. You're allowed to put humor to it. And I'm pretty sure you must have saw me on Greg Carlwood's show. What the hell? It's the Higher Side Chats. You must have seen me there.
Yeah. He's great.
A good cat.
Yeah. I mean, he gets it. He's kind of the OG of this whole thing. And, I'm glad you brought up the comedy aspect. Let me let you finish your point real quick, and then I'll get into that. I thought you had a point about what you were doing on that show.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, mainly what I was going to say was like you, Greg Carlwood, these people that are coming up in the world that like maybe 5 years ago, talking about these things, most people are like, oh, okay, we have a category for you. You're called the conspiracy theorists. Those historically are treated worse than most any other demographic, and just pushed into the corner. And now that the world is starting to show like, maybe there's something to all these ideas. So all of a sudden, Brian Rose on London Rail is having on David Icke. And, we're having these conversations more in the public, and there's still some people that they refuse to say that any of it is anything more than ignorance and ineptitude. Humanity, we're too dumb to figure this out, so we're destroying ourselves. And I think there's an element of that, but that's not the explanation you can put on top of everything that's going on in the world. But what do you do about it? So you have the old paradigm conspiracy theorists that are just buggy-eyed. They go monotone. They just talk about all the research. And if you feel what they're trying to do, it's like, you're at a party and everyone's having fun. They're telling dick and fart jokes, but Joe is over there with buggy eyes talking about Building 11, like not realizing that there's a time and a place for it. Yeah. So I think there's this new evolution of people who are talking about these things, wrapping it more in art. So it doesn't have to be so scary, and wrapping it in humor while really being on the nose, like getting straight to the point. Like, these are the people, these are the agendas, but what am I going to do? Not laugh, not make jokes about it. So I think there's a new psychological evolution that's kind of fitting the fact that the world has to wake up to these aren't just crazy, kooky conspiracies anymore. There's much evidence behind it. So the only thing that people can do to say that it doesn't exist anymore is just be like, oh, well, all that you're pointing out, that's just coincidence. There's a coincidence theory here.